Thank you so much for being here, Lucas.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
This is your first time?
My first time.
First time at FloydFest. So we're curious, like, what have you heard about FloydFest? Like, what is the reputation of FloydFest, and what did you want to come play with us?
Well, to be honest, I've played about 25 shows this month, and I hadn't heard much about it until a couple days ago, but I heard it was great, and everybody says good things about it, so I'm happy to be here, and looks like my kind of place, anyways. And, yeah. Thanks for having me.
So, yeah. You know, one of the things with FloydFest, so I think we're pretty sure this is our Green Team's 10th year, so for us it's a family, you know.
Yeah.
And we've seen, kids grow up here. We've all gotten older here, right? And it really is a family, and we really, take care of the land together. And so as the Green Team manager for me, it's really about not just like being environmentally sound, but also just like socially responsible and caring about each other.
Well, good. It's nice to have music be the catalyst for bringing a community together.
Absolutely, yeah. And so we wanted to talk a bit, and we talked a little earlier about Farm Aid and the work that you and your family have done there.
Yeah.
And is it 30 years?
More than that now.
Yeah,
I think.
more than that now. Yeah.
Probably 33 maybe this year, so 32 or 33 years.
So talk a little bit about your view of that organization. I know every year you play the show, and the whole family plays, and I think it's a really important message that unfortunately still needs to be told.
Oh yeah, I mean, Farm Aid it symbolizes a bigger issue, which is, I believe, what you guys are doing here is creating communities that encourage activism within the community, encourage sustainability, and sort of the idea that you don't need big companies or corporations to control the food supply, or you can create your own community without the reliance of big corporations, which is the same as big government. They're the same thing. So the government and the corporations are working hand in hand. And I think that our politicians, some of the appeal of the right side of politics was that they don't want big government involved in their lives, but what they don't understand is that those big corporations that give them all those jobs are part of big government as well, and so that's a problem. We have to understand that we have to encourage these companies and our governments, but we also have to just work within our own communities to build the lives we want to see around the world, and the type of life we want to see around the world. And it really starts small, and if you can kind of build these bubble economies where we're creating our own food, and we can rely less and less on these big companies, then they're going to have to sort of see the light, and then maybe the government and these companies can start subsidizing or giving incentives, changing these people's jobs from oil to alternative energy, from whatever. Once they see that the people really care about the land that they live on a major scale, and that we have the ability to live without them, then they're going to have to acquiesce to what we demand, and that's just it. That's why Farm Aid is so important, because it kind of builds a community of all these people that are working towards that same cause, which is self-sufficiency at family farms and in our family lives in general.
I think it is easy to get really kind of frustrated or disheartened, and to think things are going this way, we can't do anything.
Yeah, well, that's what they want you to think, and you guys obviously see every day the way that you can help your community, and this is an example that should be used for other communities around the world, not just our country, you know, and we just have to be the change we want to see in the world, as they say. You know.
Be the change, absolutely. When I think about Farm Aid, you know, a lot of people just think of it as a show once a year, which raises money for farmers, but the organization is very robust and has a lot of great people working for them. And one of the things I always think about, so they do policy work, you know, lobbying, working on the farm bill, media work, and one of the things that always hits me is the hotline, you know, the farmer hotline that they run, and it's just so important to have someone that like farmers can talk to get advice.
You need some better mic. You turn her up a little bit, maybe.
Turn me up.
There we go. Yeah. I can't hear you very well.
Yeah. So I was thinking about the farmer hotline.
Yeah.
And all the calls that I think it's Joel, you know, takes. Some of which are, you know, pretty depressing, right? Like
well,
the
yeah.
farmers are in a bad way, and I just think that's such an important role for Farm Aid to play.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you know, Farm Aid's like it's medicine for farmers, and you know, we have to. It's, you know, if they call in that hotline, we have to be there for them, and that's important. You know, and you know, it's nice to know that there are so many farmers out there that are getting help. But there are also so many more that need our help, and I think it's a year-long process. And you know, the board members at Farm Aid are working day in and day out to get that done.
Yeah, so definitely check them out, farmaid.org.
Yes.
And I was saying before, I believe the concert is sold out, but there may be tickets that are available, and I think it'll be live streamed. It's usually live streamed.
Oh, the Farm Aid concert.
Yeah, the Farm Aid
gotcha.
show.
Yeah. I'm sure that it'll be streamed somehow, and you know, they're pretty good about that. But there's always next year also.
Yeah, you gotta get those tickets right away.
Yeah.
So, come down. They were in Raleigh not that long ago.
Yeah, we were in Raleigh. Yeah. Now we're in Connecticut, I think.
Yeah. Hartford. One of the things that always cracks me up is the Neil Young rant at the Farm Aid show.
Uh-huh.
Like, you know, as far as like the corporations and that message, he will really like hit it hard, and not everyone, you know, takes that message in the right way, because he's out there, he's so passionate about it. And what do you think the role is of, you know, an artist to spread the message in that kind of medium?
Well, I mean, no matter how you do it, you got to get the message across, and sometimes that aggression can reach people, and sometimes it turns people away. But you got to be yourself, and Neil's just himself, you know. And I think that's important, to just be who you are and communicate in the way you know how. And obviously his intentions are good, and so, you know, you can either you can take that message however you're going to take it, and I don't think he cares too much. Knowing Neil, I know he doesn't care.
And his message does reach a lot of people.
It does reach a lot of people. I mean, sometimes, that's why we're all there on that stage, is to promote family farms and local sustainable agriculture, and I think that Neil remembers that when he's there, and remembers why he's there, and it's not just to play music, it's to spread this message. And I think that, it resonates with me, his passion, and even if I were to go about it in a more subtle way, I think that we need people like him in order to cover that base.
It's sort of like the Greenpeaces of the world climbing up buildings, and
exactly. You need to know. People need to know that there are passionate people working towards that cause, and then that's what.
You get behind them.
Yeah, you can get behind them in your own way. Maybe it's a more subtle, even more direct way. Maybe you know somebody in a higher level of government that you could try and catch their ear sometime. You never know. Sometimes it's nice to work with your adversaries and try and find a common ground as well. I think that's how we're going to have to. That's how we're going to have to continue.
It's a good message. It's hard, right, to go high, rise above.
Yeah. Well, you obviously have your feelings about what's happening and about the people that are allowing it to happen. But every one of those people up there, whether they're a government employee or an executive at a multinational corporation, they're still people. They still have hearts. They have kids. They have children. And I believe that their minds can be changed if touched in the right way. And maybe it's a lyric, or maybe it's a conversation. You never know.
Yeah. So forgive me, but to that point, I've met the most amazing people who work for McDonald's, for Exxon,
Walmart.
I was just going to say, Walmart.
Yeah.
Target too, but Walmart, and people fighting from within to make change.
Yeah.
And that's so heartening to me, and it reminds me of, being open and how important that is to listen to what people are saying, what their motivations are, trying to find that common ground, because we're not as divided as it seems. So don't believe it.
Yeah, I mean the news and they want you to feel like it's you against everyone else, where really that's not the case. It's us together, unified is going to make a difference. And I think that I've met a lot of people in those positions too that are fighting within their own companies to make changes, and really once we can figure out a really smart way to make money off of these alternative energies, then the corporations will come around, but we have to start it on our own. We can't wait for them to come around. We have to build our own gardens. We have to build our own communities and feed our own people around us, and grow your food where you can, and that's really what matters,
So you grew up in Hawaii, right? And how did that area and your childhood, shape your beliefs for today?
Well, I mean, when you're exposed to nature and it's around you all the time, as it is here, you understand how special, how important it is, how you can see firsthand how it gives life, and how, and I think that, so I grew up understanding that from a very young age, and working in gardens and working in the fields and planting food and seeing it come up. Once you really work in that way, you kind of start to understand the cyclical style that nature works. It works in a cycle, it's a give and take. And if we can sort of model our lives after nature, which is our greatest teacher, then we can kind of find a symbiosis with the planet, rather than sort of, feel like we own the planet, which we don't,
Yeah, just sort of the industrial ecology.
Yeah, exactly. There's a great book called The Ecology of Commerce by a guy named Paul Hawken. He used to be an aide in one of the administrations, but he's written some amazing things about how it would look to create an economy that is sustainable, and really all it takes is believing it can happen for us to be able to manifest it. And you have to, so it's good to kind of read about or discover how it could happen, so you can put it in your mind and visualize an actual world where it works, and so, if you can see it in your mind, it can happen. So that's what you have to imagine and believe, that, oh yes, our Earth can survive with humanity, and we can kind of grow out of our adolescence as a culture, a human culture, and stop the infighting, and work with the planet and grow, and maybe go into the stars, But at this point, I don't feel like we deserve the stars if we can't take care of our own planet, And so, there's a lot of planets out there, I'm sure, that would love to say, hey, nice job, you take great care of your planet, and we'd love you to be a part of a giant community of universal peoples, but right now we're just not quite there yet. So hopefully we come to that place, or we'll die off, just like I'm sure hundreds of thousands of other planets have done,
And the planet will be fine and happy without us.
Yeah, well,
We don't want that.
or it might not, and now we have the technology to really do damage to this planet. I'm sure it would be fine in millions of years, but it won't be the same. And so, I think we have a responsibility to protect our creator, this earth, and maybe there's another creator somewhere out there, but this is the one that I can see and touch and feel. So I prefer to work towards preserving this manifestation of nurturing energy, which is our planet.
It's really quite a gift.
Yeah, it is.
So do any of you guys have questions for Lukas? I think there were a couple. Okay, go for it.
Yeah. When we were, he's talking about desert trip. Neil has this thing where well, in California there was a law. There was a seed law that was passed by lobbyists and corporations where you can't transport a seed, an organic seed, more than like 30 miles. Or something crazy. And so Neil said, well, fuck that. And then he got, he got a bunch of seeds, and we passed it out through the whole audience of 85,000 people. And said, take this 30 miles that way, take it home with you, It was just sort of an act of civil disobedience.
Resist.
Yeah.
Where was that?
That was a desert trip. When we played Desert Trip with Neil, that was quite a show. We played with a bunch of folks like Paul McCartney and Bob Dylan and the Stones and The Who and Roger Waters. And there's this whole community of, it was a big rock show, 2 weekends out there. It was fun.
And didn't something come out of that, some collaborations?
Yeah, well, Bradley Cooper saw me there, and now we're working on his new movie with Lady Gaga called A Star Is Born, which is coming out pretty soon. Should be good. We're in the movie, the band Promise of the Real, and I wrote a lot of the music with Gaga and Bradley, and produced a lot of the music. So what you hear is the band playing, and the Bradley singing, and Gaga singing, and it's original material, and it's a great movie, I think, so it should be really, really good.
Tell us more about Miss Lady Gaga.
Well, she's a fantastic artist and a great actor, so I'm looking forward to seeing her on the big screen, and it's going to be good.
Yeah. She does a lot of positive stuff too.
Oh yeah,
she talks to her little monsters, I think, are her fans.
Yeah, well, she does. She does a lot to help people, and she works a lot with mental issues, but she's got a legion of fans that she encourages to be themselves and to be the freaks inside that they are, the weird people that they are, and I think that's important. And so I respect her a lot for that. I respect her as a human being and a musician.
Great. So yeah, Lady Gaga, maybe get her to FloydFest sometime. That would be something, wouldn't it? There was another collaboration, a movie that you did recently, right? With Daryl, or is that the music?
Oh, with Neil and Daryl, yeah. Yeah, it's basically like a really long music video. I mean, it's not like it wasn't like supposed to be a film. We just spent 2 days just filming stuff and having fun, and then it came out pretty fun, So if you look at it with an open mind, you'll see there's a lot of beautiful little subtleties in that movie.
It's called Paradox?
Paradox, yeah. It's on Netflix, I think.
Yeah, it looks really interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so any other questions from the audience?
So you were raised with a dad that was on tour.
Yeah.
And now you're living the dream. I mean, a lot of people would love to be on tour. How do you stay sane going from city to city to city?
Well, I got this foam roller for my back.
No, those things are great, seriously.
No, I just, I just try and stay as healthy as I can and take it one day at a time. Yeah, that's all you can do. I smoke a lot of weed too, that helps.
That's one of the things that seems to be going the right way in this country.
Yeah, definitely. I think everybody can get behind weed. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, my parents are a good gauge. They're like,
Well, it's got a lot of benefits medicinally and also psychologically, I believe. You know, it just kind of helps me to relax when I'm out playing 250 shows a year. You know, I kind of need something to take the edge off.
And it helps animals too.
Yeah, CBD is important for, you know, your muscle. I mean, there's so many benefits to it. I think it'll just keep going the right way unless something bad happens, which I think it's up to us to not let it happen. You know.
Any other questions? We got time for one or two more.
I just have a comment.
And then pass it behind when you're ready.
FloydFest in Raleigh was the last concert I got to take my dad to.
You mean Farm Aid, right?
Farm Aid,
Yeah, that's okay.
FloydFest now, but anyway, it was the last concert we got to take him to, and he had a ball. He also taught us how to roll a joint
Yeah.
at a young age, but your dad's always had a sentimental value, you know, for us.
Yeah, me too.
So basically, how old were you when you started playing the guitar? Like, when did he start teaching you, or did you just?
Well, I was singing from a very young age, but I never really liked my voice, and I started playing guitar around 10 or 11, and I just kept practicing. You know, I was an athlete before that, so I took that sort of passion, like I wanted to be the best athlete in the world, and I said, okay, well, maybe I can just put that energy towards music, and so I've just put that, you know, Olympic sort of mentality towards music, and just getting better and better at it, and I continue to put that effort into it, you know. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you somewhat just answered part of my question. I was going to ask you, I work a lot with teenagers, and
Yeah.
many of them are trying to find their passion, but there's a lot of sense of hopelessness or loneliness, or, you know, can we make a difference? So what words specifically would you have for young people today who are coming up now at 10, 15 years old?
What, that are trying to find their passion?
Yeah, and how they can give their gifts to the world.
I would say to them, just find out what you love, and then put as much time into what you love as anybody would put into anything. Like, as you know, as hard as you can work. You know, hard work and is the most important thing I ever learned. You know, it's just, you know, I think I learned that from Dad. He's just so dedicated every single day to what he does, and it becomes his life. And I think that in order to do anything you love for a living, you have to make that your first priority over family, love, life. I mean, it becomes love anyway, and it becomes family. All those things stay around you when you find your passion and dedicate your life to it. So I think it's, at a younger age, it's important to discover, to just do things, you know, go try everything, figure out what you love, and then put every ounce of energy you have into doing that. I mean, I used to play 10 hours a day. I'd fall asleep with my guitar in my hand, you know, for years and years and years and years. And I just still do that. It's always just letting go of yourself and devoting yourself to your bliss, whatever it is. And I think that, you know, a lot of you guys probably understand that, but it's harder when you're growing up in maybe a more conservative environment where people are teaching you that, well, do the logical thing that will make you more money, and the smart thing is to go to school and this and that. But really what's important is to find what you love and do it. And I think that if we're instilled with that knowledge as kids, then we're a lot better off, you know. And as a parent, we have to let go enough to really let our children, even if we don't understand what it is that they love, to let them do it and let them find, you know, but to make sure that if they're going to do it, that they give every single ounce of energy they have to it, and practice and practice and practice as if they were an Olympic athlete, you know, like just, you have to, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to give as much effort to it as the best in the world would do. And that's just the personality I have. I'm really kind of obsessive about things, so I can't do something half-assed, and I think that I was taught by both of my parents not to do anything half-assed, and that's what I think what they should hear at that age, you know.
So we only have just a few minutes left. So do you want to tell us about the band? They're playing at midnight over at Hill Holler, because that's a family affair as well.
Oh yeah, well, kind
Partially,
of.
so-
Yeah, I mean, my brother's not actually out with me. He does his own band. He's got a band called Particle Kid.
And they'll be at Farm Aid, right?
And they'll be at Farm Aid, yeah. And when we're with Neil, it's Neil Young and Promise of the Real. When we're on our own, it's Lukas Nelson and Promise of the Real. But with Neil Young and Promise of the Real, Micah comes and joins us, and then he does his own thing when it's just my band. Yeah, we've got but the guys, we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary, and the guys are my brothers, so it is family, you know. It's the same guys have been there for a long time, and we travel around on a bus, and it's kind of like, I feel like the captain of a starship or a pirate ship, you know. I just go out, and I got a great crew, and we love each other, and so we just keep going, you know.
Well, we're so glad that you're here, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. See y'all tonight.
See y'all tonight.
I want to get a nap in. So.